Today in the crypto space, we see the market with a nice green bounce to the upside. Bitcoin at about 43,000, but these altcoins are doing pretty good. We have Ethereum right around that $2,300 mark, up approximately 5%. Matic, Uniswap, OP, the Graph, Arbitrum, and many more looking pretty strong. They're all taking their turn. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to talk about Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that is definitely waking up, and that project is called the Graph. GRT is the ticker. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of this market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate that strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on those socials. Better yet, join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. We can see that the market is still looking healthy. In the last little while, we're seeing that Bitcoin is still going sideways. It's still doing its thing at the top of the range. You know, no real scare just yet. Bitcoin right now, obviously, we're waiting and hoping that it goes sideways. We'll take a look at the Bitcoin chart very shortly, and then we'll take a look at the graph. But first, let's look at this general market. Ethereum is looking strong, guys. Ethereum is looking pretty good. Does Ethereum continue this breakout? Does it continue going to the upside? And of course, that's the signal that I've been waiting for, guys. The signal that potentially we could be entering an altcoin season. Ethereum could be leading the way as a signal, and then obviously seeing the lower cap altcoins run up with it. We're going to start with the large caps, the mid caps, the low caps, the micro caps. All the caps are eventually going to run based on Ethereum's lead, right? We're going to see that Bitcoin dominance where it's at. Obviously tonight we can take a look at the Bitcoin dominance. We can take a look at Ethereum. And in fact, we can take a look at any altcoin that you're interested in. Make that request tonight live at 7:30 Eastern. All right, let's begin. Continuing going down this market, we see Binance doing pretty good. Solana still keeps on running. We're going to be hitting $100 of nice round number, a nice psychological number. We got to understand this. So Solana, as it reaches the 100, I think that's a very psychological level. It's very likely to see a bit of a, an area of reaction around that $100 mark, just statistically speaking. Just be careful here, guys. We've been doing very well. Solana is one of the top gainers in the last little while. So we got to understand that things get a bit frothy eventually. So be prepared, get defensive, have a plan. What are you going to do about those gains? Are you going to leave them there so that the market takes them back, or are you going to have some sort of plan to defend them? All right, so keep that in mind. We have Cardano going sideways, not doing so much in the last little while. AVAX pulling back just a little bit, but guys, it's doing very, very well. What else do we have? Polkadot taking a bit of a pullback as well. Chainlink still grinding to the upside, looking good. Matic finally waking up, 8.3% to the upside. That's pretty good overall. What else? Sheeb, nothing interesting there. Uniswap, okay, grinding to the upside, up approximately 6%. Guys, this market is still green. The market is still green. The only one is Near Protocol, but still overall, grand scheme of things, Near Protocol is still up to the right, looking really good despite a short-term pullback. Injective is another one, short-term pullback, no problem at all here, 9% to the downside. But zoom out and look at from where Injective came from. Look where Injective came from, and then make that call, right? So far so good. We're waiting for Cosmos Atom to actually wake up and do something great. So they're still waiting patiently. HBAR taking a short-term pullback as well, but still looking okay within trend, still making higher highs and higher lows so far. No change of structure. Optimism, OP, guys, look at this, 27% off of the Ethereum narrative. Ethereum is looking strong, OP is looking strong. We're seeing a Matic look strong. What about ARB? Immutable X going sideways, Aptos reaching for higher levels. Algorand, is it Algorand finally waking up? Algorand's up 12% today. Not bad at all. Looks like it's finally waking up. This is great. We have Stacks getting a bit of a retracement after a nice run to the upside. What else do you expect? A bit of a pullback, so still looking good. What else do we have? Mantle grinding to the upside nice and slowly. The graph GRT is the project for today, guys. The graph. You know, I've been talking about the graph almost on a daily basis. You know, especially live, guys. If you've been following me live, you know that I've been saying the graph, when the graph moves, it starts to melt faces. And the reality is the graph is giving us a signal that it's planning to move. So this is a good thing. It's a good thing to see some of these sleeping giants kind of finally wake up and start running. You know, the graph is definitely one of them. We're seeing it up 16% today, and it's still at the bottom of the range despite its movement for today. But we have to come up with a plan, guys, and we'll take a look at GRT in a second. Arbitrum looking really good, up 18% off that Ethereum narrative once again. Render still going sideways, planking, not doing anything really interesting. BitTensor, Tau, guys. BitTensor's on a dip. You know, we called this dip. I called this dip very, very early prior to this breakdown. Guys, go check out the Discord. I do keep all my charts there for reference. So make sure you go check that out. And my videos are still there when I talked about BitTensor, you know, from its bottom all the way to its top. Guys, right now, BitTensor might be looking for that retracement. You know, there are good levels to watch out for. Of course, we can talk about it live tonight at 7:30. Not a bad time to consider buying the dip, of course, when we start seeing some support levels. Rune going sideways, and the list goes on, guys. The overall market is kind of sideways after this. You can see nothing really that interesting. Gala slowly grinding, Terra grinding, nothing too crazy. IOTA's kind of waking up. Tezos waking up, guys. Tezos. I didn't expect that Tezos is still around, but it's definitely there. What else do we have here? Frax share waking up a little bit. Marinade, what's going on with Marinade? Solana is going on with Marinade. Anything that's regarding Solana right now is definitely doing well. Okay, guys, the general market is still green. We see altcoins definitely doing good. We see Bitcoin going sideways. We see Ethereum leading the way to the upper levels. We see a lot of good green price action, guys. It's still very bullish out there, but get defensive. Make sure you have a defensive strategy ready to go to make sure you protect those gains. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin first. Obviously, this is the graph chart, but I want to definitely look at Bitcoin first. I feel like we need a leading indicator, and Bitcoin has been doing a great job giving us that signal of where we should be allocating our capital. And you can see Bitcoin still going sideways. Let's look at this in a little bit more detail. You know, as we see Bitcoin hang around the zone, I still feel like we should be very healthily getting into long positions, especially on the altcoins. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to get in totally without a plan. I still feel like at this moment, we still need defensive strategies. Why? Because if Bitcoin finally decides to roll over, you know, altcoins will take a big dip. And that's the reality. The reality is the first initial move to the downside will be full of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And we'll see a lot of the altcoins come down with Bitcoin. Now, upon the recovery is a different story. Upon the recovery, upon the bounce of that dip, we may see altcoins recover faster, stronger, harder, and ultimately make those gains and see the Bitcoin dominance fall and see the altcoins show dominance. That's very true. But on that dip, guys, that first dip will be a bit scary. So in preparation for that to happen, where Bitcoin kind of rolls over, what I suggest is any project that you get into right at this current moment, you have to have a clear invalidation for that bullish thesis. Put a stop loss at a clear invalidation, because if it does happen, you don't want to be left holding a red bag. You don't want to be exit liquidity. Nonetheless, we're looking for entries. We're looking for great risk to reward opportunities, and there's nothing else to be said here. Bitcoin stays here. Altcoins continue popping off bit by bit, one by one, narrative by narrative. All right, guys, let's move on. There's nothing else to say here. We'll talk more about Bitcoin tonight. Let's move on to the graph GRT. Yeah, you know, the graph at the end of the day has been doing very well. At least price action wise, holding up, showing strength at the bottom of the range, and the TA respecting TA like almost to the T, like pretty much. Let's zoom in here. See what's going on. You know, descending wedge, double bottom, run to the upside, and then follow through from this scenario. This scenario did give us a nice sign of divergence right here at the bottom. You can see at least it was a double bottom. If we get on the 4-day, it gives you a bit of a bigger picture of what's going on here. From here to here, class A bullish divergence. We got the follow through. We're getting the back test, the confirmation low, the higher low, the low that gives us the confidence that this is possibly and most likely the bottom price, right? So that's really what we're looking for. Then we come down with another wedge, a descending wedge, and I'm like, guys, okay, this is the time. We don't know where this retracement's going to take us, how deep, but let's prepare. Now you can see here, if you start zooming in, I prepared for the absolute bottom price to be right around this zone, right? Especially once we get into oversold conditions on the daily. Let's get on that daily again so that we can see what's going on. As soon as we get oversold, right oversold, you can see how we got that double bottom type of scenario. You can see where the price has been. The price has been right rock bottom. Now, if you look at the actual divergence that's being built here, guys, it's so textbook. It's beautiful to the point that, guys, this is the right time. And this is why I've been saying, you know, the graph is at a great risk to reward ratio opportunity you might want to consider, because then after it's done, it's too late. You can see right now higher highs on the RSI, higher lows on the RSI, lower lows on the price action. Class A bullish divergence. We got nice horizontal support. The red box, you know what I'm talking about, green arrows, all of that. And all of a sudden starts running and breaks and gets that nice bounce to the upside. Now, what do we do here? The reality is, zoomed in version of this, you didn't get in on at the bottom. That's clear, very, very clear. It's not like you got in right here, right? It's already gone. Now the question is, do we consider this a breakout trade? It kind of looks like a breakout trade because you have that W formation. Very clear W, very clear scenario. You can see that we're already overbought. We might be leaving overbought conditions, but if we break out and get more volume and get some hype into this, it might break out with enough interest that it could break right through this volume gap. And that's ultimately what we're preparing for. Now, the risk to reward ratio right now, to be honest, based on the bottom and the previous low to the top, which is the breakout point, which is at the top of the volume gap at about 30 cents, starts to get a little worse. It's a 50-50 shot. You can see that very clearly. Let's look at put a trade setup for a long. You can see if you get in right now, you can see that the bullish target would be at the top of the range, and I'll show you why I put that as a target, because this chart has been around for a while, and you can see that even if we come down to the bottom of the range right again to test this previous low, look at the risk to reward. It's a 50-50 shot, guys. It's not really good at all. So what you really want to do is re-enter at the bottom of the range, but we don't know if that's going to happen. In fact, if the graph takes, it's a bullish approach based on an altcoin season, it will break out and continue. So you're a breakout trader right now, so you're gonna have to employ a different strategy. However, guys, let's think about this even bigger picture, okay? Bull run style. Forget this at the moment, okay? Let's start zooming out. If you start zooming out and you start looking at where we are realistically in the grand scheme of thing of the market, you can see that ultimately we're at the bottom. That W means nothing, okay? It really means nothing ultimately, because really we're at the bottom of the range. We're looking for a nice W breakout. Look at the volume profile. Look at the VPVR. Look at this empty gap that we have here, okay? An empty gap to about 30 cents, and that's the target ultimately, because we have a big amount, not a huge, but we do have a bit of supply and demand here to act as a bit of resistance to continue to the upside based on these bottoms. You can see that. Now, if I put my TA back in, I know it's a bit of a mess, but you can see that volume gap is clear, nice and clear, and that's where I'm expecting a bit of resistance. Now, we could fly right through it, no doubt. Probability, statistically speaking, I would like to get defensive there, personally, okay? So that means start trailing up a stop loss. That means maybe take a bit of profits. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, we can make it a little bit bigger. Maybe I was a bit too modest. Let's put it up here just a little bit. Because, sometimes, depending on the day, depending on the mood, you want to be a bit more modest. But, the reality is we do have a lot of confluence looking left, and the volume gap is clear there. Let's make this as accurate as possible here, as best as I can. And we'll bring this red arrow here for TPing. We'll make this red arrow right here for TPing. And this is the resistance line, thick yellow line where we're going to expect a bit of resistance. We break above that, guys. This thing's going to rocket to about 30 cents, and that's about time that we start de-risking. Now, we're looking at about a move of a breakout move of about, 60%. That's pretty decent. Now, if you caught the bottom, it's much more, definitely. And even if you DCA'd, green arrow, green arrow, green arrow, the average entry would have been at the point of control at about $1. From about 10 cents. From 10 cents to 30 cents, you do the math, that's some great gains. Take the half on the double at minimum and at least take your initial investment off the table. Now, from a breakout position scenario, the only thing that I can say is that you're halfway through the move. The ideal thing to do right now is wait for the breakout, wait for the back test, and then get in, right? Obviously. But I know a lot of individuals have basically the FOMO, and the fear of missing out is extreme. So what I would say is this: DCA, buy a little bit right here at the breakout. As you breaks out with a bit of volume, get in with a bit on the breakout. Then get in a bit more on the back test. Wait for the back test, then get a little bit more as soon as we break this previous high. Okay, so that way you're getting that confirmation of a higher high. This would be the greatest setup. But guys, just to understand that we've seen many altcoins just tear it up, just basically continue going to the upside without any back test. And that's a risk that you take. That's the risk you take not getting all in, obviously. Let's put that in perspective. And that's the risk you take not buying the dip at lower levels where, risk to reward was absolutely healthy. A lot of people don't see that and understand that. You want to get in where the invalidation of your bullish thesis is very close. And that way you can put a stop loss nice and tight, and that you don't mitigate, you don't take a lot of risk, you mitigate the risk as best as possible. But now there's nothing you can do. It did run up. Now it's about being prepared for a potential move to the upside, such as this one. Look at the volume gap. Look at the price action looking left. Very little resistance to the upside. Let's get into lower time frames here for a second, so that we can come up with a bit of detail here. Now, if you kind of see what's going on, we do see here on the 4 hour. Let's get rid of that and let's do one of these. And yeah, let's go here on the 4 hour, and you can see here on the 4 hour that we are potentially breaking out. You can see that on the 4 hour. Now you can see a bit of chop here. You can see that the MACD is looking nice, very nice and bullish. Now EMAs are crossing. EMAs are looking for an expansion to the upside. Do we break all of these highs? That's the good question. Do we actually break? So you can see that it's clearly a breakout trade right now. The MACD, the RSI in overbought conditions. We can stay overbought for a bit, for a good while. We've seen altcoins stay overbought for over 2 weeks. Okay, so that's the reality. It could actually do that and stay overbought. There is no sign of bearish divergence just yet on these tops on the 4 hour, and we're in a good spot, guys. There's nothing really to offer. Look at this scenario. Now we're run up. Now the issue is that you're buying into a short-term pump. You're buying into a 4 hour pump. The daily is pretty much a pump as well. So that's the issue. You're basically trying to jump on a moving train. So again, this is why the DCA strategy is probably best, and it does look like an ascending triangle. Let me show you what I mean. Let's mark up this a little bit more. Up, down, up, maybe down, up. And you can see based on this right here, I'm going to make this thicker so you can see what I'm seeing. I know sometimes things get a little hectic here, but look at the thick yellow line and the thick white line. It's an ascending triangle. Ascending triangles, statistically speaking, should break out bullish. Now, as you can see, if we get another touch of the diagonal, that's another buy the dip opportunity. That's a good time to get in. Risk to reward ratio is a little bit healthier than it is right now. Basically right now is a breakout trader, but this W could definitely break out bullish and continue to the upside. This is the risk you take. DCA here, DCA a little bit lower. If it comes down, just have capital ready to deploy just in case we get a rejection anywhere around this level, because if you don't, the risk you take is getting all in and not having capital to DCA on this project. Ultimately, I do feel like it's trying to break to the upside, and this is still a great opportunity to consider if we get that altcoin season. The graph and many others, there's many other altcoins that have yet to run, and those are the opportunities you got to be looking for the up and coming pump if we get one. All right, guys, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't, do the channel a huge favor, slap the like button. Of course, I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. That's a great time and place to make those requests. If you have any projects you want me to cover, of course, join that Discord, guys. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setup, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.